Okay, so today we're diving into some pretty cutting-edge AI stuff,
Yeah,
specifically Google's Project Astra.
right.
And, you sent over some really interesting articles about this.
Absolutely.
What makes this so groundbreaking is that this AI can actually see and understand what's happening on your phone screen.
It's true. And if you think about how we typically interact with AI right now,
Yeah.
it's mostly through text or audio.
Right, like ChatGPT, you're typing in stuff.
Exactly. Project Astra really changes the game by adding this visual layer to Gemini Live.
Okay, so it's like having this super smart friend looking over your shoulder
Yeah.
who can instantly grasp what you're looking at on your phone and help you out.
And this isn't some far-off thing either. This is happening right now.
That TechCrunch article really highlighted that this is already being rolled out.
It is to Android users.
Yeah, and this is something that, we got a glimpse of at MWC 2025.
Absolutely.
Remember that blog post you sent about how everyone was talking about AI making sense of what it sees on your device? But then remember that Reddit thread with the user who leaked the demo on a Xiaomi phone?
Oh, yeah, with Gemini Advanced?
Yeah.
That was huge.
That suddenly made it real. It wasn't just theory anymore.
It's tangible. Now we can actually see what it can do.
All right, so for this deep dive, we're going to break down how this technology works and what it means for people like you.
Okay, sounds good.
So first things first, how does Project Astra actually allow Gemini to see your screen, like in a way that actually makes sense?
Well, you know that research paper you sent?
Yes.
It gets pretty technical, but
Yeah.
essentially, Project Astra allows Gemini Live to process what it sees on your Android in real time.
Okay.
But it's not just reading the letters on the screen like OCR.
Right.
The key here is context. Gemini understands the context of what it's seeing.
So it's not just seeing words, it's understanding what those words represent.
Exactly. It can recognize elements, layouts, relationships.
Can you give me an example to illustrate this?
Sure, imagine you're on a Wikipedia page about GDP, gross domestic product.
Okay, I've been there.
A basic AI might be able to read the text you highlight.
Right.
But with Project Astra Gemini understands, you're looking at economics.
Okay.
So if there's a chart about GDP trends, Gemini can analyze that data too.
Wow.
And it can even point out key growth periods or dips.
So it gives you way more insight than just reading the words around the chart.
Exactly.
This is where it gets really interesting for me.
Yeah, I was wondering about this too.
What are some real-world things this could be used for?
Well, you know those articles you sent?
Yeah.
There are so many possibilities.
Yep.
Basically, you can ask Gemini anything about what's on your screen.
Mm.
Like, let's say you're reading a news article, you select a paragraph.
Okay.
You could ask Gemini to summarize the key points.
And it wouldn't just be copying and pasting the text, it would understand the whole article.
Precisely. And the article from MWC had some other really cool examples.
Oh, yeah. What else?
Imagine you're on a website in a language you don't understand.
Okay. Yeah, happens to me all the time.
You could ask Gemini to translate the whole page into English.
And it would keep the same layout.
Yeah, so much easier to understand.
So much better than just like a block of translated text.
Right, or think about a long document you need to read.
Okay.
You could have Gemini read it aloud while you do something else.
I'm always trying to multitask.
It could really boost your productivity.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it would highlight the text as it goes.
That's cool. I remember one of the articles also mentioned explaining complicated things.
Oh yes, if you're looking at a diagram about something complex like quantum physics,
Yeah, I've been meaning to learn more about that.
you could ask Gemini to explain each part in simple terms.
So it could be like a personalized tutor.
Exactly, right there on your phone.
So we've got this visual AI assistant always ready to help.
It seems that way.
But of course, there are some things to consider.
Yeah.
What are some limitations or things we should be aware of?
One thing that stood out from those articles is the cost.
Okay.
This feature is part of Gemini Advanced, which is a monthly subscription.
So it's not just a one-time purchase.
No, it's an ongoing cost.
Something to keep in mind.
And right now it's only available for Android.
Okay, so if you have a different type of phone, you can't use it.
Not yet.
And of course, the big question, privacy.
Yes, having AI that can see your screen definitely raises privacy concerns.
Big time.
I mean, Google did say they encrypt the data.
Right. But it's still something to think about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We need to understand how the data is processed and stored long term.
Yeah, especially as this technology keeps developing.
That's a whole new level of AI interaction.
But people need to stay informed about these things.
Definitely.
So considering all of this, would you personally pay $20 a month for this kind of AI assistance?
It's tough to say without actually using it.
Right.
But I think if you need quick explanations of visual data or struggle with language barriers,
Or if you really need to multitask.
then it could be worth it.
And if any of our listeners are already using Project Astra, we want to hear from you.
Absolutely.
What features do you like? What are your aha moments?
And have you run into any problems?
Yeah, your feedback would be really helpful.
Real-world insights are so valuable.
And as we always do, let's look ahead.
Okay.
This is just one piece of the larger AI landscape.
Right, other companies are working on this too.
You've been following Apple closely.
I have.
Maybe in our next deep dive, we can explore what Apple might be doing with AI.
It would be interesting to see how their approach differs.
It's clear that AI is becoming more integrated into our lives.
It really is.
And this ability for AI to understand our visual world is a big step.
Huge.
It'll be fascinating to see how different platforms develop.
I agree.
So until our next deep dive, keep exploring the world of technology.
Sounds good.
And maybe think twice before you ask Gemini to analyze that blurry picture of your cat.
Why is that?
You might get a pretty funny response.
I can imagine.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.